Russian troops are increasingly using motorized units, a tactic of rapid breakthroughs using motorcycles, buggies and scooters. There are also reports that soldiers are dissatisfied with the commander's motorcycle attacks. Despite heavy losses, this strategy allows them to bypass traditional Ukrainian defenses and exhaust the Ukrainian Armed Forces, writes the New York Times. This is a tactic of 1,000 small blows, explained Yevgeny Alkhimov, a representative of the 28th Mechanized Brigade. Russian troops use motorcycles to quickly cross mined areas and reach Ukrainian positions while avoiding massive drone and artillery strikes. The attacks usually take place without cover, with drivers zigzagging across rough terrain. Motorcycle drivers could have had 5 to 10 minutes to storm the Ukrainian trenches and attack, says military expert Pavel Narozny. Despite numerous losses, 100 motorcycles and 240 soldiers were destroyed in Pokrovsk during one assault alone. The motorcycle units continue to operate, as Narozny says. They now account for 20 to 25% of Russian attacks. It is difficult for Ukraine to withstand such continuous attacks. The goal is not to destroy the infantry, but to penetrate into the rear to strike mortar crews and drone operators, specialists who are difficult to replace. Motorcycle attacks first appeared in April 2024 as an improvised response to drone strikes. In the fall, they became widespread in the Kharkiv and Donetsk regions, where armored vehicles became almost unusable. Even though they have less armor now and there are no restrictions on manpower reduction, motorcycles are exactly what is needed for this job, explains Valery Ryabik of Defense Express. The tactics became more sophisticated. Electronic warfare is used, but the motorcycle groups are supplemented with 2 passengers, which allows the attack to continue even after one of them is destroyed. The Russian command is already considering the possibility of formalizing motorcycle units. Motorcycles could become standard equipment for troops. This indicates an intention to integrate tactics into the strategy of combat operations. Individual attacks are ineffective on their own, but as part of a broader tactical plan of attrition, they do the job, says Yevgeny Alkhimov. We will see many more motorcycles, buggies, scooters, cars on the front. This is a new war, added Pavel Narozny. In Crimea, temporarily occupied by the aggressor country Russia, partisans of the Atesh movement recorded the enemy removing military equipment from one of the military units. Agents reported that unusual movements were recorded in Sevastopol at the permanent deployment point for storing equipment. The territory of the unit is now almost empty, with only a small amount of equipment remaining. On the spot, there are civilian women and elderly people who are cleaning up. Judging by the photographs, there is almost no military equipment. Only a few new Gaz and Kamaz trucks. There are also few soldiers. Our agents noticed them only on the tower and on the hill, the report says. Atesh suggests that this is due to a lack of equipment at the front, and the remaining vehicles were sent to other areas. There were reports of powerful explosions that thundered in the morning of May the 16th in the temporarily occupied Crimea. It was loud in particular in Sevastopol and Perevalnoy. Drones of the Security Service of Ukraine hit ammunition depots of the 126th Coastal Defense Brigade of the Russian Federation in the Crimea. Drones organized a serious bombing of the ammunition depots of the 126th Coastal Defense Brigade of the Russian Federation, which is located near the village of Perevalnoy in Crimea. There were boxes for storing military equipment, weapons and fuel and lubricants there, the service clarified. Videos have appeared online showing a powerful detonation and fires in the enemy warehouses. Local residents also report smoke over the territory of the military unit itself. The situation is so serious that the Russians even blocked traffic on the Simferopol-Alushta highway, which passes by the village of Perevalnoy. There is also information about the death of Russian soldiers who were at the military warehouse. The SBU continues to work effectively on legitimate military targets in the territory of Crimea captured by the Russians. Work on weakening the enemy's military capabilities will continue in the future, an informed source said. Earlier, it became known that Russians were moving property from the 810th Marine Brigade from Sevastopol, which was temporarily occupied by the aggressor country. The empty barracks confirm the security measures taken by the occupiers. It is possible that such preparations are related to the increased risk of the facility in the near future, the statement said. In addition, the partisans discovered a cluster of military equipment on the territory of the unit, which was carefully hidden under camouflage nets. This also suggests that the occupiers are afraid of being attacked by Ukrainian forces. In the Russian city of Volgodonsk, Rostov region, residents rebelled because local authorities were not caring for military burial sites. They recorded an angry video in which they acknowledged the huge losses in the war against Ukraine. Veterans of the so-called SVO accused the city administration of a disregard for the dead. They started bringing the guys in en masse. The alley could no longer accommodate the Russian soldiers liquidated in Ukraine. In 2024, it had to be extended. This alley of ours grew before our eyes. The city administration didn't even pick at it with a fork. When the guys go to the SVO, they are told that they will not be forgotten, that for the motherland. And those who returned as 200th lie here knee-deep in grass, and no one needs it. It makes your hair stand on end, said residents of Volgodonsk. According to the Institute for the Study of War, over the past 16 months, Moscow has occupied about 4.7 thousand square kilometers of Ukrainian territory. This is less than 1% of all of Ukraine, and for this, Russia has lost about 400,000 soldiers killed and wounded. These are colossal losses. It is difficult to obtain concrete information about Russian casualties, which comprise deaths and injuries. Moscow has an incentive to minimize its losses and rarely discloses any information. Western casualty estimates usually lump together deaths with injuries. Military experts say that category is too broad to fully explain the state of the war. Lightly wounded soldiers can quickly recover, for example. What determines a military's true ability to fight are its irreplaceable, irrecoverable, or permanent losses. Soldiers who are dead or so seriously injured that they will never see battle again. Some independent Russian journalists and researchers have found innovative ways to count Russia's dead and wounded, digging up information from diverse sources like obituaries, cemeteries, disability payments, and notary databases. Their calculations begin to show a more accurate toll of the war, shedding light on Russia's ability to continue the fight. They also suggest that Russia has lost more soldiers in this war than any industrialized nation has in a conflict since World War II. The military intelligence agencies of Ukraine and many NATO nations produce their own estimates of Russian casualties. These agencies do not disclose their methods. The numbers they make public usually represent the top range of their internal estimates and include light injuries, according to officials and military analysts familiar with the calculations.